but not off of some extremely fantastic 20-1 carry project. Reminisce wins that game by getting a double kill here, a single kill there, maybe an extra kill over here, and it just opens the window large enough for the team to come in and play. So a lot of times when we say a single player kind of carries the team or carries the game, it's because he killed everybody and everybody just kind of licks up the scraps. This was Reminisce creating opportunities for his team by way of aggression.
A lot of great individual plays across the board for SB in that one. I mean, I'm looking at Nickwood's walls that wins them 2 team fights, one at the very end to kill Zaxi, and then one by the Gold Fury that gets them 2 kills on Zaxi and Shaliber and opens up that Gold Fury for SB. Those were 2 big walls. And then Keji, I mean, split pushing consistently, handling himself in lane up against Zaxi, and then really making the plays in the late game.
Yeah, the Apollo is such a prevalent pick here in the Pro League, both on the SMITE Pro League side and the SMITE Console League side, and yet we don't see the classic Apollo split push, don't care what my team is doing, my name is Game Hunter, I'm just here to split push and PvE style play. But it actually, I mean, that's what the character does.
He does it very, very well, and because of that passive, allowing him to get extra attack speed, as well as his global ultimate, as soon as he gets into any sort of trouble, just whistles and the chariot comes down and he's gone. He's just way over there.
Well, game number 2, SoaR's not playing around. They ban out Nickwood's Ymir. The wall was just a little bit too powerful there. Zeus also going to be too powerful. A first snap pick Thanatos. They absolutely want power out of the jungle. They're going to pair that with an Odin and a Medusa. A lot of setup, a lot of control, and just a lot of punishment on the side of SoaR Gaming's draft so far.
Interesting Odin pick here. I'm not really sure what they're looking for with this as SoaR because, yeah, it traps in the Poseidon and now the Ratatosker, but it was only against Poseidon and Izanami that they locked it in earlier, and it's not that great up against Izanami. I mean, Izanami's going to be able to get out of there with Fade Away.
I think the Odin was selected to deter the Ra selection or deter any sort of healing because Shaliber played a fantastic Ra, so they got to watch out for that on the other side, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we have always seen Odin be more prevalent on the console side. They seem to really like this lockdown that he brings and his early game pressure as well. You've seen previously on SoaR when Uzi was their solo laner, he played quite a bit of Odin.
A lot of Odin.
Wolves played Odin basically into a Willish, into anything. He didn't really care.
I don't get it. Can you break it down a little? Is it just like...
I don't know. I really don't. It's just that for whatever reason, solo laners, supports, junglers on console love to play Odin. It's just a comfort pick for many of them. I don't really know why, but it could just be a coincidence. Who knows?
I mean, that's one of the fun things when you get to see 2 different leagues follow pretty much the same game. The patches very rarely out of sync with each other. As Xing Chen and Zhang Kui selected for SoaR Gaming is the fact that 2 different leagues will have different metas, not just because of the patches and the way the game is played, but also just the fact that individual players have different god pools, and that will impact the league as a whole. So it's a lot of fun comparing and contrasting the 2 situations across the way.
Yeah, and it's going to be Cabrakan in the solo lane here, I believe, though. It could be Cabrakan, jungle, and Ratatosker in the solo lane, but I really like Strictly Business's composition as a whole here. SoaR has a ton of AoE, and that's about all they have. I mean, they don't have any real reliable lockdown. Xing Chen is your best CC you've got outside of an ultimate. I mean, a 0.5 second stun from Shaliber until he starts leveling that Book of Demons. Overall, I think Strictly Business won the draft phase.
Really? I mean, right away, I'm looking at Kaden on the Thanatos. Zaxi has a fantastic Medusa as well, and Stormy Rays on the Odin. I'm questioning it, but I don't ever question Shaliber's mid lane Zhang Kui.
He's very, very comfortable on Zhang Kui. He loves to play it, always has. One of the first gods that he really started playing a whole lot of whenever he came over to the console scene. Whenever you think of Shaliber, I think Zhang Kui and Chang'e are the 2 gods I would think of whenever I think about his play in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Chang'e mid is definitely one of the console originals. We've seen a couple of console originals. Ooh, first hit goes to Zaxi.
Game over, dude.
Game over. That's it. One of the oldest adages in SMITE. The first basic certainly gives you a little bit of superstition here. The first basic wins
You know what
the
we
game.
don't see enough of anymore, and that's sacrificing yourself to the tower gods right at the beginning of the game.
The old tactical feed.
Yeah, just make sure they're pleased. Sacrifice your life. Don't give it to anyone else. Make sure no one's in assist range. That's pretty big too. As long as you don't give any extra gold to the enemy team, it's just there to make sure they're pleased.
Strictly Business going to get aggressive here and come into the enemy jungle. Nice little pincer maneuver. SoaR just unsafe in their own jungle. No kills, but the 4-man invade means that Strictly Business will absolutely pick up that speed.
Yeah, Forger Vulcan just can't quite find the stun onto Shallowbur, even though he wasn't looking at him. If he finds that stun, Shallowbur is probably dead. Shallowbur was probably dead anyways if Strictly Business really wanted to chase that kill. Instead, they decided to forego that first blood bounty and secure the speed buff instead.
This Thanatos here coming out from Kaden. How was his experience on this jungle pick?
I mean, the Susano in game 1 wasn't really doing it for me. He didn't have too big of an impact, didn't do quite as much damage and disruption as you'd really like to see your jungler do. And then putting him on a very skill shot intensive god whenever he's still a little bit new to the console scene does make me nervous a little bit if I'm rooting for SoaR, but like we mentioned before, he's got a lot of experience just with Smite, with playing the jungle, so SoaR must have a good amount of trust in him to instantly lock in that first pick Thanatos for him.
So the mid lane, Zhang Kui. We've seen Zhang Kui show up in the solo lane. He's very much a battle mage, very tanky guy, as his model would suggest. Are we still going to see the tanky build come out here from Shallowbur in the mid lane, or is it going to be more damage oriented? Well,
it looks like he's going for the Dynasty Plate Helm. That signals to me that he may not want to go for a Warlock Sash that we usually see on Zhang Kui. It just synergizes so well with his kit because, like you mentioned, he wants to be in the front lines. He was going to be trying to stack the minions anyways due to his passive, so it's kind of just, it's not a big deal that you're stacking alongside it with that Warlock Sash, but it is expensive and it does take a long time for it to kind of get off that ground and start working well. So it looks like he's going to be going for Dynasty Plate Helm. Of course, we're going to see a Boots. Probably wouldn't mind to see like a third item, Gem of Isolation, something like that.
Nice play coming out from Stormy Rays. Not going to commit, but he starts low and gets the Gungir's Might off to slow out the Izanami, and then reads where she's going to be. Bird bombs on top and deals the damage. No full commit, however.
Not quite, but this Bluestone Pendant for Zhaxi, as well as that his first ability that applies a dot, is going to be pretty important up against Keji on this Izanami because Fade Away, like Ao Kuang's stealth, is going to immediately dissipate if there's any sorts of damage on them, and Bluestone Pendant and her first ability are going to just tick away at her so that even if she uses that Fade Away, you can find where she is, and she's very exposed after she's used her escape, just like every other god.
So she's going to get tickled?
Yeah. I don't like being tickled. I'm sure Izanami doesn't either.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Everybody knows now that you don't like to be tickled.
I don't. If you see me at an event, don't tickle me. I'll be very displeased.
That is the worst thing you could have said.
No, now they know.
No, now.
It should be assumed, but some people don't assume.
And now people are going to take advantage of that. That's me taking advantage of the lack of vision.
I will IP ban your Smite account if you tickle me.
You don't have that power.
They don't have to know that, Tom.
Trouble for Forger Vulcan as Stormy Rays aggresses on him, but oddly turns around. Shallowbur and Kaden not able to make it to the party, zoned out a little bit by this Ratatasker here. Just going to be a little bit of an obnoxious player here, Reminisced. Just starting to help out his mid lane by way of just fear-inducing.
This is the exact same strategy that we saw from game 1 for SB, is that just invade the speed buff consistently, and SoaR has got a pretty decent early game between the 3v3 of Odin, Thanatos, and Zhang Kui. I mean, we do have Ratatosker and Poseidon for SB, but if you can make sure that the Book of Demons is opened up by Shallowbur, he's got so much extra protection that the Kraken isn't going to be nearly as impactful against him. You could really be taking some of these fights, I think, as SoaR, but because of the pressure that Nickwood has had in that solo lane, Medieval Doc hasn't been able to rotate over, and that's why you see these speed buffs really going pretty easily in SB's favor.
Yeah, I'd like to see more fight coming out from the guys on SoaR. I absolutely think that they can take some of these engagements that they're opting just to walk away from. Now, the first one, it was a 2-on-4. All right, you walk away from that one, I agree. But when it's a 3-on-3, I don't know about that.
Stormy Rays jumps away, Forger Vulcan up into the dragon form, still trying to find it, but now he's blocked off from the rest of his team. His jump is down and he can't get back. The Kraken right on top of Kaden. He's already up into the sky and right back down, finds the execute for the first blood. Forger Vulcan falls.
Watching that exchange, you ever hang out with your friends and one of them does something really dumb and everybody else just sort of watches?
Mm-hmm.
So the ring comes down, and you see the support player jump forward, Forger Vulcan goes for it, and you see his two teammates on the other side of the fence just like, good luck, buddy. Well, there's no way we can help you. You see all of the abilities come out, the Kraken, and unfortunately Forger Vulcan just falls over. Just a little too aggressive there. thinking that his team can follow up when they actually can't.
Now that opens up the speed buff invade for SoaR to take advantage of. They finally take one away from Strictly Business. Fire Elemental still going the way of SB. Still going to say the purple team because SB, they've got a purple logo, but SoaR is also a purple team. So that would have been a little confusing for the viewers at home. Good thing I didn't say that, huh?
So that's interesting because I frequently refer to I like to find many different ways to say things. I think that's one of the important things about commentary, so that you don't say the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. Shouts to the guy that's going to link me something that I say over and over again, because we all have those one.
Yep.
But so Strictly Business here, I like to refer to teams as their colors. Strictly Business, they're purple and white, but SoaR are they purple and black, or are they purple and white as well?
I think they've got both.
Yeah.
But purple and I don't know. It's definitely purple. That's the big one. But I mean, their logo's white, so they would, I guess, purple and white would be the two.
You know what I think we should do? Instead of calling them by the color of their jersey, we should just go with SoaR. SoaR General's hair changes color like every month, so we'll just call it General's hair color. Right now, the blue team here, SoaR Gaming.
What if he changed it?
Oh man, I think it's blue. It was pink last time, and then it was green before that.
Jason likes his different hair colors, man. What do you want him to do?
Shout outs to General. It's really, I really like to see the organizations really associate with their teams. Right now, nobody's associating with Mr. Teep. He's just gonna fall over.
Gone. Caden just
what was that burst?
Barrel busts him right there with that death sight. That's what it was. Dark Portal opened up underneath Chalibur. Does a little bit of damage, but not quite enough to make SoaR retreat.
That's a play.
Yeah, that was a nice cage there by Stormy Ray, setting that entire thing up. Caden looking much more comfortable so far on the Jean-Qui than he did on Susano.
Or the Thanatos, you mean, rather than
yes.
the Jean-Qui.
Yeah, thank you.
And to be fair, Chalibur also. I mean, he looked pretty good on the Raw.
Yeah, he did. He had a strong game on the Raw. The one glaring mistake was getting picked on that left-hand side after the Tier 2 tower siege with Fire Giant. But the snipes were pretty good, and his positioning was pretty solid as a whole. But you know he's going to be comfortable on Jean-Qui, his signature god.
Exactly. Coming back to that conversation about SoaR, we're having a good time giving General a shout-out. But at the end of the day, SoaR, I'm really impressed with how well they've interacted with their SMITE teams, plural. They have one over on the PC side and here on the console side. I mean, you played under them. It's very, I like to see the interaction come out from the organizations, especially a big org like SoaR, to see how willing they are to really just become a part and embrace the SMITE community.
I mean, the SMITE community is one of the best parts about the game, right? It's so much, everyone is, there's so much personality, particularly on the console scene, that it's pretty easy to just kind of find yourself getting sucked up into it and wanting to be a part of it.
I really hope Strictly Business, adopts the same sort of mentality where they're very close to the scene and everything. Being able to just see those big names come through to the scene is really strong. SB here going to look for the counterattack onto the objective as SoaR look for the Gold Fury. Still not leashed, very low. It's taken away by Strictly Business. Big plays coming out of Reminisce out of the sky, and that's going to disrupt everything. Here comes Nikwid, just ground pounding away, and Forger Vulcan going ahead and picking up Chalibur for the kill.
SoaR just not respecting that global pressure that Reminisce can bring in again. Medieval Doc gets out-rotated by Nikwid. Nikwid actually looks like he uses teleport to get there, and Medieval Doc did not have his available, but SoaR has to know that. SoaR has to know that Nikwid has teleport and Medieval doesn't. They have to know that Reminisce is going to be there with that ultimate, and they just don't respect the amount of damage. Kraken secures it for SB, and they get a kill on top of Chalibur as well.
That to me is, I think that SoaR have a little bit too much experience on their roster just between mid, support, and hunter to make that mistake. There are certain abilities that you just don't go for the Gold Fury off the top against. You're looking at Zeus ult, you're looking at Ra ult, you're looking at Thoth ult, you're looking at Kraken, you're looking at Thor ult, and you're looking at Ratatasker ult. I mean, these are the abilities that you take a mental check of, because Reminisce coming down from the sky into Mr. Teep's ultimate, that's all you really need to disrupt a 5-man push.
Especially whenever you've got this sort of lineup, but what's your Gold Fury secure against Kraken?
That's the thing.
Death Scythe, Petrify. I mean,
it sounds like you're joking, but you're literally pulling off the top abilities.
Right. Those are your best options to secure a Gold Fury, with Exorcism, with a tag. I mean, you don't have a whole lot. Nothing is going to be able to contest that Kraken, and it's certainly not. I mean, if SoaR there is trying to pull the Gold Fury and bait a response from SB, great, and I like that idea, but you got to get off of it right away. As soon as you get any sort of indication that SB might possibly know, you have to get off the Gold Fury. They don't, and they lose it as a result.
You got to leverage your team, your individual draft, your individual players even, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, the Apollo, right? We saw an Apollo last game, and he did what Apollo does. Any hunter can sit there in lane and fight and make rotations, but only Apollo can go ahead and do the split push that we saw. And so that's a team really utilizing their specific draft. SoaR right here with this draft, there's not one specific strategy it points to, but it certainly doesn't point to objective secure. You have to realize that that's not really what your team does well, and just back up.
The draft for SoaR team fights well, and that's exactly what they want to do. Like I mentioned in game 1, they get one 5-on-5 team fight and they win it hand over fist. So they draft this team fight composition, but you have to team fight as 4 or 5 with this sort of comp. Caden locked in there by Nickwood, goes immediately up into that hovering death. Reminisce looks like he wants to chase him down. Could be looking at Stormy Rays. In fact, not going to be hitting anybody with that one.
Yeah, Reminisce going to land in between 2 players and
Field
do
goal
a bunch
is
of
good.
nothing.
Nailed it.
Just splitting.
Yeah, I mean that was a hard disengage by SB. They don't have any particular follow up in that scenario. Everyone that was in front of them, it was Stormy Rays and Medieval Dock right in front of them, and they just don't have the burst damage to really get through those Guardians quite yet.
So just real. At the end of the day, that looks kind of really bad for Reminisce, but it's just a better play by SoaR in the sense that Reminisce goes up when he thinks there's an opportunity in a team fight, and SoaR intelligently just eject. They just walk away from the situation, and Reminisce, while he's up there, just kind of just holding it like, well,
maybe I'll come down. Nah,
I don't really know. Well, this is a big difference from the situation it was when I went up here. So, not a good look for the jungler here, but SoaR going to look to stay and defend their own speed, or rather red buff. Not going to be the case, though.
Shaliber actually uses that ultimate, forces Forge of Vulcan up into his, but now he's got that extra mobility and is going to be able to jump away. Nickwood teleports in, looking for Stormy Rays. The stun, the blink, and he knocks off 2 from the lane.
There's going to be the stun and the separation. Big bird bomb coming out as well. Thanatos in the sky, putting players in the ground. Kaden again, 2-0-1. Not finished just yet. Dashing away is going to be Izzy, and that should be the end of that kill. But big play coming out from SoaR in general. One player is the only one to fall, despite all of the violence that goes on in the mid lane.
Great ultimate there by Stormy Rays, locks Reminisce in, and then Caden, good patience from him as well, waits until that dash from Reminisce is on cooldown. Reminisce looked like he had his Aegis, could have potentially baited that out. I like the idea for Mr. Team to hold Kraken until Caden comes down and try and return the kill onto him, but he just immediately pops that purification and then goes headhunting for Keji, finds him in the jungle and forces him out as well.
Nickwood with one of the bigger plays, surprisingly, Team wasn't able to capitalize, just completely separates everybody from the actual fight. Players are able to make the wraparound, but I really thought something was going to come off of that Nickwood play. It was just a perfect, he blinks forward, he finds a stun.
Well, it was the cage from Stormy Rays that blocked off both Reminisce and Keji from doing any sort of damage to those who were locked in that ultimate from Nickwood.
Zaxi over here going to secure the vision on the Gold Fury. Earlier, we kept seeing teams try to force it. Not going to be the case, not going to be able to pick it up.
Got to give shout out to Zaxi in that last fight as well. That petrified directly onto the 2 targets who were left alone and blocked off by that cage. That's what sets up that execute possibility for Caden onto Reminisce. Good recognition from Zaxi, understanding that 2 of the backline targets are cut off from their front line because of the cage from Stormy Rays.
So SoaR here, just approaching our 15th minute. Trailing by an irrelevant amount of gold. Tied up here for all stretches of the imagination. 3 kills to 1, as SoaR do have a lead in that regard, but other than that here, Ryan, players really looking for an opportunity. Gold Fury respawned about a minute ago, and so while SoaR have the vision on it, We'll see a teleport show up from them as well, and they'll be able to start the objective. But Forger Vulcan, he has eyes on it.
Again, no secure possibilities for SoaR. They've got to take this team fight. I think Reminisce up into the sky. Forger Vulcan as well pops into that dragon form, and you can see the immediate retreat from SoaR. Reminisce still was thinking about going in, waiting it out, is going to land down on a Stormy Rays, but an irrelevant amount of damage onto him. Caden around the backside, huge petrify from Zaxi as well. Nikwid trying to zone away the team, but Stormy Rays zones away everyone else. Courtesy of that cage, Forger Vulcan, nowhere to go. Up, down, Caden puts him in the ground.
That's exactly what Caden's looking to do. Nikwid's going to go the same fate as well. Big stun, but Zaxi makes sure he can't escape. Gold Fury's picked up by SoaR. Thanatos Caden looking for some blood, not going to find it. Here comes Izzy. He's going to be chased out by Caden. Chases out the dash, up, down, out of the Odin, and there it is. 5-1. Read the kills. As SoaR pick up 2 in that exchange, and they'll stretch their gold lead by about 1,000 even. So they start to something big.
Every single engagement where the initial, ultimate or the first target for SB doesn't go right, their team fight has fallen apart entirely. So if I'm SoaR, I'm just baiting around objectives, waiting for Reminisce to go up into the sky, waiting for Forger Vulcan to jump in, and then just backing up. Because clearly SB has one plan, and if it doesn't go right, they are struggling to recover from that. And that's what we typically see from these newer teams, these Challenger Cup teams that are just coming up from relegations. It takes them a little bit to get that adaptability, that to be able to make their plans pretty malleable and be able to change on the fly. Their execution is great if it works out initially, but they still have yet to kind of develop that ability to move and change plans as necessary.
So with that in mind, I actually think I prefer the Vulcan over here for Mr. Teep over the Poseidon. Poseidon has the bigger impact abilities per se outside of the ultimate, but they're on a little bit longer cooldown. You drop the whirlpool, and that's really all you can do. Vulcan drops the turret. He has got the meatball, very low cooldown on the backfire. So SB can go for their original play, set up Mr. Teep for the ultimate, and if the game and the fight is still going to continue, you can still look for the knockup and the damage out of the backfire. Turret is still going to chug along. There's a little bit more extended opportunity there as opposed to an all-in type character like the Poseidon.
I agree with you. We saw how many times did Forger Vulcan use Blink Cataclysm in both Shaliber and Zaxi beads, but they still get hit by that Vulcan ultimate because of the willingness to full commit on the initial call from Strictly Business.
So, yeah, I think I liked that play a little bit more. Poseidon just not working out here. Strictly Business at the moment, who are wrapping around, trying to find some sort of angle onto SoaR as everybody's located looking for this portal demon. But it's going to be SoaR that find the angle instead. Transferring over to the right side, all chasing Reminisce for the most part. Nice double flip, and that's going to be the double root as well. Ultimate is going to take down Nikwid. Doesn't even need the Thanatos ultimate. Instead, he'll get juked as Shaliber takes out the enemy. 2 players dead on the side of SB so far. Jumping forward to be Stormy Rays, drops the ring, and 2 players are stuck.
KG still trying to find an exit. He won't be able to. Zaxi picks him up. Mr. Teep falling very low, forced into the Aegis, but Keji comes right out of the jungle and hits him with that death slice, securing the kill for Stormy Rays. Forger Vulcan jumps in place there, trying to get the stun, but he kills himself in the process. Deicide going the way of SoaR, and again, it's their engagement that starts it off well in their favor. That doesn't go Strictly Business' way right off the bat, and they are not able to recover. Tier 2 tower falls. Fire Giant next on the list.
So right now it's a 4,700 gold lead. That is undoubtedly going to expand here. Not only will the players pick up a couple of hundreds of gold from this fire portal demon guy.
Portal demon.
I refuse to believe.
Demon.
I refuse to believe. Fire Giant, Demon, Portal, Bro Man, Boss Guy, Giant. That is the official title. Okay?
Could you make that into an acronym for me?
FGAE, no.
Cool. So I do not agree with SoaR's decision to go for the Portal Demon in that situation. They get the Deicide. They want to back and do the Portal Demon, then come back and do the Fire Giant immediately, but you can see everyone from SB is respawned, so now they have to team fight. Luckily for them, it seems to be going well. Teep already falls to the hand of Shaliber. Nikwid here with Reminisce, but he gets dunked on by Caden. Great silence right on time, interrupting that Tremors from Nikwid, and the Dark Portal can't quite find a home from Keji. Teep gets picked off without even using his ultimate there.
You gotta love watching SoaR. all 5 players peel off the tower to go look for the kills. Usually it's 2 or 3 players while everybody else kind of does their job. Nah, SoaR all want kills in that column, so not gonna be the case this time around. Both towers fall down.
Does your tower kills show up in your KDA? No.
No.
Exactly.
It's rough. They should. Structure damage shows up.
Yeah, but not in like the score line. Like when you go in like the post-game discussions on Reddit, does it say tower damage? Structure damage?
You know what? I hope they change it. I hope they add structure damage just to make you look like a forehead.
I look like a forehead anyways, let's be real.
I mean, what do I always say in chat? Aggro is forehead IRL. That is the go-to. That is the go-to. That is the best copy pasta the SMITE community has ever had.
Is it because you started it?
I refuse to answer that question, Ryan. I think that's irrelevant.
You plead the 5th?
I do. 5th.
You don't actually have to say 5th in order to plead the 5th.
You absolutely have to.
Oh, okay.
That is how that works. What are you, a lawyer?
Gold Fury started up here by SoaR. They've got the pretty commanding lead here. No Fire Giant buff, though they are up about 7,000 gold. Remnant's the only one around, but not willing to go up into that ultimate this time, and that Gold Fury going to extend the lead up to the 9,000 gold mark. Teleport in from Medieval, so that tells me that SoaR wants to try and force something here on this left-hand side. Remnant does have his ultimate. I don't think SoaR is able to catch him out here, even with this slow from Shaliber.
Why don't we see Remnant go for that Gold Fury this time?
Oh, well, he's going to die right away. Caden finishes him off with that Death Scythe. It's a suicide. It's a suicide mission if you go into that Gold Fury. And even if you steal it away, instead of being down 7,000 gold, you're down 5,000 gold, but now you're 5v4, and SoaR's going to siege up your left-hand side. And at the end of the day, you're still down 7,000 gold after they push your tier 2 tower, so it wouldn't have been worth it.
I mean, SoaR's going to siege the left-hand side regardless. Right?
Probably not if Revenant dies there. If he doesn't get picked off, then SoaR probably back up and reset until it's time for the Fire Demon Portal Giant boss guy.
Listen. It's Portal Demon, okay?
Oh, see, I just, I heard, this guy I work with was saying all this weird stuff about the new official name for it.
Does it have an acronym?
It doesn't, actually. And that was one of the big issues that I saw with the new official name.
As opposed to saying, yeah, they're going to go over and kill the PD?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's going to be Portal Demon.
Yeah.
Portal Guy is honestly what I call it, like colloquially.
Mm-hmm.
I wound up just saying Portal Guy a lot. And that's how I actually started the season. I came into my official cast calling him the Portal Guy. And I didn't
That's better than that guy who's calling it some sort of weird, long Portal Demon guy, boss, giant thing.
Nah, man, if you're going to go in, you got to commit. That's what SB's problem has been pretty much this entire game. They didn't have that issue in game 1. They obviously won it. But here in game number 2, what you're seeing is Reminisce goes in and he ults, and SB are too timid to really follow up, and that's been sort of the Achilles heel.
Well, it's been that to some degree, but also that just the initial engagements haven't been the right ones for SB, and they haven't been able to adapt to SoaR kind of backing up and retreating. Forge of Vulcan gets picked up and stomped down by Stormy Rays. He's going to fall very quickly. Keji fades away. The sprint pots here by SoaR. They're trying to chase down Nickwood and Stormy Rays. He's got him in the cage. Petrified, not going to find a home there from Zaxi. Nickwood doing a great job of juking around, still alive for the time being. Eventually does fall to the scythe of Caden. 2 dead right now for SB. Make that 3 as Teep falls. 4 as Keji's going to fall as well. And SoaR's marching on to the Phoenix.
Looking for Reminisce is going to be Shaliber. He knows he doesn't do much damage to the tower, but he is also going to take a lot of damage.
SoaR is
unnecessary death.
SoaR just not interested. And again, Shaliber just not grouped up with the team. Even if you don't do a whole lot of damage to the Phoenix, which actually, as far as mages go, Zhang Kui towards the higher end of
with the double basic.
With the double basic, exactly. As long as you got your stun up, you're going to be hitting it with an extra basic attack, which does a decent amount of damage to these towers. But instead, he kind of gets separated. It's either Shaliber has to go to the rest of his team, or the rest of his team has to come to Shaliber. It can't be what we saw.
And just a little bit unfortunate there. SoaR looking for the Portal Demon.
They got the Portal Demon.
Down it goes.
Now the Fire Giant probably going to be next on the list, though there are 4 members of SB up, but Chaliber is going to be able to use that portal to get to that Fire Giant immediately as soon as he respawns. He's got that Obsidian Shard done, working on finishing off his Rod of Tahuti as well. Once he gets that off, it's going to be a big power spike for SoaR. Not that they really need it right now, up 13,000 gold, a commanding 16-2 scoreline.
Big game here for SoaR. This is how you bounce back after a game 1 loss. Absolutely. Gotta have this type of domination here. Fire Giant started and reset, and then started and reset. Still waiting for a third look.
Forger Vulcan just boxing along with Zaxi. Zaxi says, all right, we can do the objective instead, but Forger Vulcan still all by himself on this backside. Fire Giant is going to be dropped there by Zaxi. Finds the Petrify on the Nickwood, but not quite enough damage. Great ultimate from Medieval Doc, though. Chaliber gets exploded by that Kraken. SB, first kill they've gotten in the middle of a team fight in quite some time.
Still on the chase as Forger Vulcan is going to fall down. Caden's hand right here. Great play coming out from the Thanatos. 10-0-6. Last game did not have too big of an impact on the Susano. This game, I mean, frankly, he's a huge part of why SoaR is this heavily in the lead. He picks up another one. 11-0-6. Reminisce, though, might get a Firebird.
He's trying to, pushing his left-hand side down. Keji is going to back, trying to defend that as Fire Giant. Finally finished off here by SoaR. Mr. Teep just wanted to watch, I suppose, as SoaR did that. Hung around. Could definitely have been using that farm that is coming down the middle lane right now. Only level 15 for the mid laner for Strictly Business. Only 3 items completed as well.
That's rough. The fact that just 3 items, I mean, that's really
the 26-minute mark, yeah, 3 items is just not enough to get the job done. Working on a Fatalis now, trying to get a little bit of extra survivability in these team fights, trying to be able to kite around characters like Caden, though Caden, of course, has that slow immunity, so the Gem of Isolation isn't going to be too effective against him.
You really consider Fatalis a survivability option?
Yeah. On Poseidon, yeah, it's a survivability option as well as a chase down option, but it's getting extra movement speed. It's being able to consistently put out damage as you're retreating against frontline damage dealers.
All right. I see where you're coming from. For me, Fatalis always just landed in the aggro category for me. Not I mean,
I didn't build it a whole lot. It was more Transonics, you know, whenever I was playing.
I'm going to throw you out a window. That's the second time I've said that today, actually.
Yeah, you threatened to defend a straight me earlier today.
10 points in the vocabulary, by the way.
Thanks, guy.
In any event, I meant aggressive. Fatalis seems like an aggressive option.
It can be, but it's also excellent. I mean, that's why we see it picked up on Medusa so often. Zaxi hasn't gone for it in this game, but it's just so hard to lock someone down that's hitting you with Fatalis autos and juking side to side or backpedaling, and you can just, it's excellent at keeping yourself safe, but not just turning and running and not putting out any of that damage that your team needs.
Right now, SoaR looking to cause some of the damage on the left side. Mid lane, Reminisce there, trying to defend against another push. The mid lane Phoenix about to respawn. Nickwood drops a really strong ultimate, but Chaliber able to walk away from it. Forger Vulcan ain't walking away from that. Caden pick up another kill. Down goes the Kraken and up goes the Thanatos looking for a target. Lands on the back. Teep gets hit. Teep gets hit. Teep gets dead. Zaxi picks up one. Reminisce is going to follow up and kill Chaliber. Here comes the fight. Ooh, Death Sight's going to miss. Big play. Big miss coming out for SoaR. And they do ultimately take the Phoenix. Zaxi going to move over, shift, and the middle Phoenix will go down as well, just pretty much to the Winions. And we'll see the shift over to the right side.
Medieval has teleported back in, completely healthy here.
Big shot.
Way too tanky for SB to really punch through, even with the late game Izanami. Not a whole lot. It does have a decent amount of penetration in that build, the Ichabod, the Aussie, the Executioner, but still, at level 20, Medieval is going to be able to frontline very, very well, and he's done exactly that this game. 0-0 at 18. That feels good for someone who's just trying to be an annoyance and set up for his team to do kills. That's exactly what he's done all game long, particularly for Caden on the Thanatos. He's got the baker's dozen, 13 kills for him.
With 6 assists as well, the Thanatos getting a lot of these dunks from the sky have been just a stun, not necessarily looking for the execute. We have seen our fair share of executes, but a lot of those ultimates have been to set up the other teammates to really make things happen. 22 kills in total. You've got 19 of them with your stamp of approval. I think that's a pretty good assessment to how much that this Thanatos has affected the team's performance.
Oh, it's night and day. I mean, that's been the real big difference maker. Reminisce has not had nearly as good of a game one as he had, and Caden's completely turned it around from his lackluster performance in game one. It just seems to be whoever's jungler has a better game is really controlled for the most part. Though Reminisce, as good of a game as he had in game one, it wasn't nearly as one-sided as this one has been for SoaR.
Yeah, this one is definitely, there's 5 kills in total for Strictly Business, and 3 of them belong to Reminisce, who has that global ultimate and is able to really get to the back line very easily. I think that's been one of the bigger issues here for Strictly Business, as the jump into the throne room right away. SoaR aren't wasting any time.
Frenzy is unavailable for Medieval Doc, pops it immediately. They look at the Titan there. Caden finds the kill on the Nickwood, picks up his 15th kill there with his double around the backside. Reminisce able to pick up Zaxi, but
he's gonna get 4. He's gonna get 4. Caden picks up the Quadra, and he's gonna end the game in style, 27-6. Ending with the Quadra kill. Fantastic performance coming out from SoaR.
And that's, again, just all around